This video is sponsored by Bright Cellars. The holiday season is here between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and one of the most popular things to make that is that special meal is a roast. Whether you call it prime rib, standing rib roast, ribeye roast, that's what we're going to be making today. Now I've got a 7-pound USDA Choice standing rib roast here. It's already been trimmed up by the butcher. We're leaving this fat here. We want that. And what we're going to do is we're going to season this the day before it goes out on the grill. We're going to be smoking it on the Weber Kettle tomorrow. So I want to get a good dry brine on here, and what I'm going to be using is a mixture of salt, pepper, and garlic powder, just basic SPG. 1 part kosher salt, 1 part coarsely ground black pepper, and ½ a part of granulated garlic. Now the surface is a little dry, so I am going to use a binder. A lot of times I don't use a binder, but if it's dry, I'll use it. And what I'm going to use today is just some olive oil. All we need is a little bit here. Just going to rub it around the surface here. Just a little extra moisture. We're just going to start giving it a good coating of our seasoning here. And if you're thinking that this beautiful cut of beef deserves to be paired with a great glass of wine, you're correct. Problem is, I'm no wine expert. I usually rely on others to bring a nice bottle of wine to gatherings, but Bright Cellars is changing that. After answering some simple questions online, Bright Cellars matches you with wines from small vineyards that will please your specific palate. Boxes are delivered as frequently as you choose, and their packaging is completely recyclable. And there are hundreds of exclusive brands, so you can try new wines with every shipment. Better still, for novices like me, every shipment comes with wine education cards for each bottle that have pairing suggestions, best serving temperature, and information on the origin of the wine. My selections include a World Line Cab, which looks like it will be perfect for brisket. There's also an Avast Sauvignon Blanc to go with some lighter dishes, and a Chardonnay Crémeux Chardonnay, which I can't wait to try with some sea bass. Having that perfect bottle of wine for that party you're hosting or the holiday celebration you've been invited to has never been easier because of Bright Cellars. Sponsors like Bright Cellars make it possible for my channel to create tasty content. And they are giving my viewers a limited time offer of $50 off their first 6-bottle box. Click on the link in the video description to see what wine best suits you. So I haven't decided which wine we're gonna have with this roast, but we'll see when it's done. All right, we are looking good. This is going in the refrigerator overnight, and tomorrow, I'll see you out at the grill. All right, the Weber Kettle is up to temp. I'm going for between 225 and 250 today. I'm going to be burning some red oak in a few minutes when we get our rib roast on. And I'm using the Mallory firewall to create 2 zones, and I've got a foil pan with water in there for a little bit of moisture in the chamber today. So let's get our standing rib roast on. I'm going to start with the bones towards the heat source today. Now for my temp probe today, I want to get dead center, so I'm going to take my probe, kind of lay it on the top here, and just measure what dead center is going to be here. And it's going to be about right to there on the probe. Let's get a piece of red oak on. All right, let's get our lid on and get smoking. Now the ultimate internal temperature I want today is about 130 degrees for medium rare-ish on this, which means I'm going to pull it at 120. And then it is going to rest for half an hour, kind of loosely tented in foil. Now about 90 degrees, we're going to do a butter baste on this. We're just going to let this absorb smoke, cook slowly, and we'll check it, give it a look in about an hour just to see how it's doing. All right, we've been going an hour now. The temp's been holding really steady, right around 225 actually. So let's go ahead and just take a peek at our standing rib roast. That is looking gorgeous. It's looking great. We're just gonna let this keep going. At the 2-hour mark, I might rotate it so that we have more of the meat side facing the fire source, but I'm not sure yet. It'll depend on how it looks. But let's get the lid back on and let this keep smoking. See you back here in about an hour. So we are just past 2 hours and we are right about at 90 degrees internal. So I wanna give this a butter basting. Now, what this butter basting is a stick of unsalted butter, a pinch of salt, and a half teaspoon each of dried rosemary, dried sage, and dried thyme. You could use fresh herbs in here, but the dried ones work really well, I found. So let's take a look and give it a basting. That is looking beautiful. Just get some of our butter on here. And I don't think I'm gonna turn it. I think I'm gonna leave it just the way it is with the bone sides facing the heat source. So let's get our lid back on and let this go to 120 degrees internal. All right, we are just hitting 120 internal. Let's take a look at this roast and get it off of here so it can rest for 30 minutes. Oh, that looks and smells wonderful. Get our temperature probe out of here, roast off, and I'll see you inside in 30 minutes. All right, our roast has been resting for about 30 minutes, and I want to remind you of one thing here. So this is a standing rib roast. It's also called a ribeye roast, and it's also called a prime rib. There's a lot of belief sometimes that when someone calls something prime rib, that it's prime grade. A lot of prime ribs you buy will be choice grade. Prime rib was just a name that was given to the cut that has nothing to do with the grade of the meat. You can get it in prime, but a lot of times you will get choice. So this is, in essence, a choice grade prime rib. But now let's cut into it and see how we did. I'm gonna turn it this way. And you can see where the fat has sort of peeled back here, and that is completely normal. And I'm just gonna try and go right here between these bones. A lot of times people will take this off the bone, and you can totally do that. A lot of times you'll buy this and the bone will have been separated and then tied back on by the butcher. This bone was attached, so I'm leaving it. Let's see how we did. Oh, that is what I wanted. Beautiful pink center there. I always say that on the video lights, it's not always easy to see the doneness, but this is a nice pink in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a slice so we can have a taste, and we'll be tasting it with some of that wine from Bright Cellars. So I've got a nice slice of prime rib right here, and what I'm gonna be pairing with this is a 2021 Monastrell from Orleans Cellars. And because we're in the holiday season, I have my hand-painted Christmas wine glass I'm using. First, let's get a taste of this prime rib, then we'll have a taste of that wine. So I'm gonna go right here, this beautiful pink center. Cheers. That very first bite of prime rib, when you get it in your mouth there, it is just like butter if you've cooked it correctly. This is the doneness I like it. If you want it cooked more, you can, but I really think medium rare is the way to go. Just terrific. Let's see how the Monastrell goes with this. That's really nice. And I've said many times, I'm not a big drinker and I know very little about wine, but that is nice. It's interesting. That online quiz you take at Bright Cellars that is supposed to narrow down the wines that you're going to enjoy seems to have worked, because that's really good. And like I said, I'm not a wine expert at all, but that tastes great, especially with prime rib. I gotta say, for a little over a 3-hour smoke out there and then a half-hour rest inside, this is some of the best prime rib, standing rib roast, ribeye roast, whatever you want to call it, some of the best I've ever made. Thanks again to Bright Cellars for sponsoring this video, and remember to follow the link in the video description for a limited time offer of $50 off your first 6-bottle box.